everybody, this is Lena from Infected Rain, and you're watching CMS TV.
I've seen most of the footage of their performance, and he's still the guy, and it's maybe the chops aren't what they used to be or anything, but the feel is there, the swing is still there, like, you know,
right,
and he's the only guy that does it. Out of all the drummers that played in Sabbath, and Sabbath had some great drummers, like Cozy Powell, Bobby Martinelli, Tommy Confettos, Vinny Appice. You're right, Vinny Appice. All great players. There's only one Billboard.
It is Chris Akin Presents. I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today on the show, we have one of the very, very busiest guys in the world of rock and heavy metal. Today, it seems like every 3 months, we're chatting about this project or that project or this one. We've got a new one. It is Patriarchs In Black, 4th release, Home. August 15th is the release date of it, and here to talk all about it is the drummer of Patriarchs In Black and probably every other band you're listening to today, Mr. Johnny Kelly. Johnny, how are you, man?
How's it going? Nice intro.
Well, dude, as we were saying before we started, you are one of the busiest guys. It seems like, I mean, just off the top of my head, you got Sun Don't Shine, you got Quiet Riot, you got Patriarchs In Black. I'm sure there's others that I don't know that you do because you're a drummer and you guys are always in demand. How do you keep yourself? Look, you're not 25 anymore. I know I have trouble getting up on time. How do you keep yourself so able? Is it the combination? Is it just doing it every day that keeps you like you haven't gotten out of rhythm, I guess?
Yeah, I assume that has to play a part in it. You know, it's just the previous interview. Just talking about, I'm getting up there in the years, and I don't feel it. Thank God. Knock on wood. I don't feel it. I think that if I took a minute and stopped, I'd probably just kill over and drop dead. My body would atrophy, and it just kill over and drop. But truthfully, I really don't think much about it.
Okay.
I just I look at my calendar. And it's like, all right, where am I going today? What do I have to do today? Who am I? Who am I playing with?
Right. Do you ever have a problem just kind of remembering the parts? Because you do so many songs. I don't know how you can remember, the intricate fill for this song or that song, especially on ones that you don't play like Quiet Riot. I guess you probably get easy because that's muscle memory from every weekend.
Yeah.
Some of these other bands,
a lot of that is neck down.
Right. But I'm thinking some of these other bands, like if Patriarchs, as an example, and we'll get to the record here in a second, but if you guys were to announce a show, would you have to revisit the record and prep it, or do you remember it?
Absolutely. There are definitely some songs that are easy to recall than others, but absolutely, I'd have to go back and figure it out. I have been having that problem with Sun Don't Shine. We've been shooting videos,
right?
And I was like, of course, first thing I'll send out a text message like the day before. Is like, what song are we doing the video for? What song is it? And then they tell me, and then I'll brush up on it, and I'll be like, listening back, I'll be like, I did that, I played that, I did this, and then it brings up a whole other issue where it's like, what did you guys do to the editing with these songs?
Oh, right.
Who did this? Because I wouldn't have played that. It's like, that doesn't sound like me. That wouldn't be one of my go-to things, or whatever. And then it comes out later on. Oh well, we did an edit here, this and that. And you can tell right away that the people that are doing the editings are not drummers.
Right. They're relying on you not listening back.
Well, I guess they're just. Well, I don't know about that, but they. I was like, look, going forward, I said, I understand about like, doing edits and stuff. I get it. It's like, just throw it by me first so that, I can help you guys make sense of from a drummer's perspective on what you're trying to do.
Sure.
And, but yeah, definitely like if Sun Don't Shine, some of the stuff, it's like, I listen back to it, it becomes a blur of even tracking the song.
Right.
And the same thing with Patriarchs. Patriarchs is, I'm actually able to put more time into it because of the way that the working situation is definitely different.
Okay.
And because I have a lot more time to think about and to work on Patriarchs songs because it's all done. I do all that stuff at home.
Okay.
And I sense something when I think it's ready, when I think it's complete, and then I send it out. With Sun Don't Shine, the working situation is different, whereas we make time, a certain period of time. Like we were just in New Orleans. I was in New Orleans for, I think, about like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Working on music. And we'll have, the way that it's been since we started the band, we get together and we kind of come up with a song a day.
Okay.
So that's the way the situation, that's the way it wound up working out. There really wasn't any kind of agenda, but that's how it started establishing itself. Where in the morning we get to the studio, and Kenny or Kirk would have a part, and be like, "All right, this is what we're going to work on today." And by the end of the day, we'd have a song structured out.
Wow!
And then by late afternoon, we do a drum track. And then the guys will work on it afterwards, and then down the road. And so that's what we were doing. We're doing a song a day.
Wow.
So I'm only working on stuff for a few hours, and then it's in the past. And then I hear it come back with other instruments on it and a vocal melody and things like that. I'm like, what song is this?
Right.
And there's been a couple of them where I have no recollection of doing it.
Nice.
Yeah. And that happened to me, that happened to me working with Danzig also, doing the Danzig records and stuff. It was just like I was in LA for a day or two, and we do a bunch of recording and then disappear, go on with life. And then that stuff will come out like, who knows how long, a year, 2 years later. And like with the Dead Red Sabbath record, and Glenn's like, you want to hear one of the songs? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we're outside the rehearsal room in his car, and he's playing it in his car. Right. And I'm like, who played drums on this? And I wasn't trying to be funny or anything. He's like, that's you. He's like, I'm like, no, that's not me. He's like, right. Glenn's telling me, he goes, it's definitely you.
That's crazy.
I was like, but I was like, I was saying, I was like, I have no recollection of it.
That's weird place to be.
Yeah. And so if we were to do something where it was to be done, a live performance or something like that, yeah, without a doubt, I would definitely have to go back and revisit these songs and relearn them.
Right.
Relearn them from scratch.
Sure.
Welcome to the ultimate experience for hard rock and heavy metal fans. Introducing the CMS Locals VIP app, your #1 destination for all things on the CMS network. Dive into the classic metal show, Akin Presents, Seth Williams Show, and more, all in one place. It's free to get started or elevate your experience with a subscription for just $4.99 a month. Go commercial free, get advanced releases, and enjoy exclusive bonus episodes. Plus, it's the prime spot to chat with like-minded fans who love raw, uncensored commentary. Are you ready to rock? Download from your iOS or Android store, search for the CMS network, and join the community now. It's free, it's easy, and it's the best way to keep our shows with you every single day. Install the Locals.com app today and follow the CMS network.
Well, let's dig into the record here, Johnny. Obviously, this is the fourth record from Patriarchs in Black in a very, very big hurry, which again, I don't want to keep harping on your schedule and how busy you are, but it is amazing that you guys have put out 50, 60 songs in what, about 3 years?
I guess it really is that many.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot in I think 3 years, 4 years, not a long time.
Yeah, like and then we did like an EP of covers too. There's like a bunch of cover songs and that are recorded. We recorded for this record. I think we did I think Dan said it was like 17 songs.
Yeah,
so there's a bunch of stuff that didn't get on the record. I don't know if it'll get used or if we'll use it somewhere down the road or whatever. Sure. But like for me, as busy as I seem, there's usually a good amount of time where I'm home.
Okay.
In one place. So when I'm home, I'll make time and go to the studio. I have a studio in Dallas where I have my room set up with all my mics and my recording gear and stuff. And then Dan's great in that sense that he's never short on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's always sending me riffs and things like that. And so I would work on them when I could, depending on my availability, or, depending on what's going on at home and with life, outside of music and sometimes the songs come together quickly. They're pretty easy to put together and it's, they kind of like write themselves and I just go in and, play it and it comes out well. It comes out good enough that, the first time around. And other songs definitely take time.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, the song with the Daryl from DMC and the opera singers on it and stuff.
Sure.
And, that took a lot of. It took a lot of time in the sense of. It kind of forced me to think outside my bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of and. To come up with a different approach to the song in terms of like drums in that song. And it's like, do I just put patterns in there? It's like, do I play a beat to this or something? Or do I just do, Dan helped me with that. Dan had an idea of like, just having drums in it, but not so much where it was a pattern and stuff. So he gave me that lead to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And then that helped me, with my approach to it.
Right. But, does the creative approach for you change with the vocalist? Because I mean, this. People probably don't think about it, but whoever's singing does have an impact on the rhythm section because of the way they inflect and whatnot. So
yes,
does it change for song to song for you?
It's the crux of making music this way, because there's a lot of times. Dan is just sending me guitar riffs in a certain structure. And then I just I try to look at that song as in what the bigger picture is going to be instead of just following the guitar riff and just playing to that and trying to leave space for other things, especially vocals.
Mm-hmm.
So in the way that we do things, it's hard for me to really key on the vocals because I don't have anything as far as a reference when the stuff is sent to me.
Okay.
So I have to not think about what the vocals are going to be other than just to leave space for other things, whatever those other things are. If it's going to be like other instruments, like keyboards and strings or something. So I try to keep it. I do try to keep it pretty simple.
Sure.
And but there's been plenty of times where I'll call up Dan. I'm like, hey, in this song, what's the verse?
Right. Okay.
What part is the verse? Is the intro the verse? Is the opening with the chorus?
Right.
So he has more of an idea because he does write a lot of the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll guide me that way.
Okay. Does he already have a map of, well, this is going to be Carl Agell or this is going to be Kyle Thomas or what?
No, usually it's after our parts are done.
Okay.
And then he'll be like, he's like, I'm gonna ask Mark to do this one. I'm gonna have Carl, sing on this one, or whatever. Or he'll write something. He's like, whatever. Carl wants, this. Carl wants a song. It's like, so I'm writing this song for Carl.
Sure.
And as far as like the bass players go, when I'm doing my drum tracks for whatever any particular song, I'll be like, you know what, Eric, that I used to play with in Pale Horse, I was like, Eric would crush this song. Or,
Sure.
Like this is for him. Like, like knowing how the bass players that we work with play, I have a clearer idea of who I think would be best suited for that particular song.
Sure.
The vocals, it's another world, and I try to stay out of it.
Right. I hear you. Well, Johnny, this, as we mentioned a couple minutes ago, you guys have put out an awful lot of music in a hurry. Is this switching from being what I assume was a project to like a band where you're now starting to think, well, maybe we need a full-time singer, or maybe we need a full-time band, or guys that are, at least when it's time to do it, it's those four of you?
I haven't looked at it like that.
Okay.
Like I've mainly because like with everything that I have going on, I really don't have time to commit to another band.
Right.
I just don't have it. And I guess it's not the worst position to be in.
Right. Sure.
But that's the truth of it. So to make the commitment to put that much time and effort into another band, I just don't have it. And I think it would hurt the band.
Okay.
Because then they would be, the band would be forced to have to work around me.
Right.
And doing this like this, it really is a lot of fun this way. And it gives me the opportunity to play with people that I normally wouldn't be able to play with. And it gives me a chance to reconnect with old friends. I got my brother on a couple of songs, my brother's played a couple of solos on some of the cover songs we've done. And if it was a band, it would just be that particular, group of people.
Right.
And doing it this way, it's a lot of fun. It's fun, and it's not, it's not for the money. It's not like there's no money in this, so it has to be fun.
Right. Certainly.
And I wouldn't want to disrupt that, because especially like with this last record, it got pretty creative. The songwriting, I think, is a lot stronger on this one. And, like everyone that came in and contributed really did a fantastic job.
Sure.
And it was really cool to hear this stuff come back. And he was just like, oh shit, this came out really well.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to lose that fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's also a learning experience for me too, because there's a lot of aspects of it, with like recording and like doing all my own. I do all my own drum tracks. I record them here in Dallas by myself.
Sure.
And so I've become a student of that aspect. And always learning, and it's like, like discovering something, a different technique or something like that. And it's like, wow, now got a killer kick drum sound finally, and these songs help me develop, help me grow in that way. And so it's like an all-encompassing thing, as instead of just putting a band together, writing a record, going out and supporting the record, and doing it that way. This is It's something different, and I'm getting something out of it that I don't think I would get being in a traditional band situation.
Have you enjoyed, or do you find it difficult, mixing in some of this instrumentation that is not common to what you do? I mean, there's not a lot of flutes on Type O records or Silvertone.
Actually, there are a lot of instruments and a lot of different layers that went into Type O Negative, which is one of the things that I welcome, because a lot of the stuff that I do now, post Type O Negative, doesn't have any of that.
Right.
So I like it when there's a lot more instrumentation. Like I loved having, violins and string sections in
Sure.
some of this stuff. And, it was, the opera singers, that caught me by surprise. I wasn't ready for that.
Right.
But I love the end result. I love how it turned out. And even with that song in particular, going back and forth with Dan, when Dan sent me what the opera singers had done, I was like, okay, where's the main vocal? What's going on? And Dan was like, well, that's it. I was like, no, that's not it. This song needs something else. It needs to say something. It needs to go somewhere. It needs to have a focal point. We're just playing these parts, and there isn't a focal point in the song. There has to be a main melody line where it's doing something else. And Dan came up with the idea of having Daryl rap on it, which I was like, not ready for that either. And what Daryl came up with, I was completely blown away. And it was like so abstract from what I thought this song was going to wind up being. And because there's a lot of stuff going on in that song. There's not just, there's the guitar parts, the drums, and then there's the string sections, and then the opera singers, and then there's Daryl from DMC rapping on top of all of this stuff going on. And I was like, this is cool. And it's cool in the sense because it was so different.
Right.
And unique unto itself, and especially unique for me. Like I've never been a part of anything like that.
That's awesome.
And it was really hard for me to figure out how I'm going to fit in that stuff. And so that it was challenging in that way. And I think that was the part that I enjoyed most about the song, was trying to fit in, and then opening up, my mind, and trying to come up with something drum wise to fit in the song. And then I came up with a few things, and I was like, and I started building. I started getting into it. I was like, oh, this would be pretty cool. Put this here, blah, 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 help build the dynamics of the song. And if it was just the four of us, or whichever bass player and singer, and stuff like that, I don't think it would have gotten something like that out of it. It took the contributions of these other people that normally wouldn't have been there. What they brought to the table.
And probably the reason that works is because it is just you and Dan, and you go into the working experience expecting those kind of, challenging musical moments. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the nucleus of everything is Dan and I. And then, the other people, they come in and they put their color on it.
Right.
And it's interesting to me that with working with so many different people, and, each thing that they contribute that's unique unto itself, it still sounds like Patriarchs in Black.
Right. It does.
Which is the most baffling thing to me.
Right.
Because you wouldn't expect that. You'd expect the record to sound like a compilation record.
True.
And it doesn't. It sounds like it's gotten to the point where it sounds like a Patriarchs in Black record.
But I look, as an outsider looking in, I'll just say I think you hit it on the head on why it does, because the nucleus is always intact, and you guys know how to work with each other in a certain way. So it's always going to have that certain Patriarchs element to it, no matter what you color it with.
Dan and I come to big disagreements on song lengths.
Okay.
Dan prefers the like the Ramones Misfits
3 minutes or less, right?
Like 2.5 is his ideal song.
Right.
With my background, a short song is approximately about 8 minutes.
Right. A short song is an intro.
Right. The intro to a typo song is
right.
250.
That's funny.
So we have disagreements there sometimes. I'd like, Dan, you got to. The song needs something else. You got to put something else here. It's like, what? It's fine. It says everything. It says it's everything it has to say. It's like, no, Dan, we need to do something a little different here. Needs a guitar solo.
Right.
I don't do guitar solos. I was like, you do guitar solos. You do them. I've heard them.
Right.
I've heard you
I've
do
got
them.
those old Hades records. I know.
I heard them on all the Kiss covers we did. I know you
Right.
can do a solo. And this song, right about here, and I'll tell them where it is. It's
Right.
like, right about here, this song needs a solo. So go do a solo.
Right.
And then he'll reluctantly do it.
Sure.
But that's usually it. We don't really have like too many we don't have any real artistic disagreements and stuff.
Sure.
Dan sends me whatever riff he's come up with, and I try to make sense of it, and we build it from there.
Hey, it's Chris Akin from the Classic Metal Show, Chris Akin Presents, and the Seth Williams Show, straight from the uncensored heart of the CMS network. We've just been crowned a certified Rumble creator, and that means we're bringing the heat. All our shows, commercial free, baby. Advanced episode drops, sometimes months before the normal release, so you're not stuck waiting. You'll get all this plus exclusive content for Rumble Premium subscribers that'll blow your mind. And with Rumble Premium, you'll get every CMS Network show and all of Rumble's other videos with no ads and no fluff. This is our official home, Rumble. It's raw, powerful, and unfiltered. You want in? Just hit us up at rumble.com/register/classic metal show to sign up for free commenting, chat live, and just your ability to join the chaos of all of our shows. Then while you're there, swing by any of our videos, smash that Rumble Premium button, and level up. Subscribe now. Don't sleep on this. Hit the link in the description. I'm going to go the other way just for a second here. I talked to your other brother, Kenny, last week, and he said all you and him do is fight, creatively fight. He said you guys are definitely brothers that bang heads at all points, but you find your way.
We are like we're an elderly couple.
Right.
At the buffet line. And him and I, Kenny and I, we grew up together.
Sure.
Kenny has said it too. We learned everything wrong. And then had to learn how to do things the right way as we got older. But we have a different working relationship, and it's a different friendship too. Being friends since we were teenagers. We can yell and insult each other and not be offended. Right. And so that comes out when we're working on stuff, and get frustrated, and it's challenging in a lot of ways. And but we push each other. Mm-hmm. He'll do a vocal track. He'll do a vocal track on a song. It's like, I don't like it. He's like, why not? I said, it doesn't sound like you're suffering enough. I was like, it doesn't sound like you're suffering enough. What the fuck you mean by that?
That's great.
I was like, and he'll do the same thing. He'll do the same thing to me.
Sure.
Push me in that way. And it's kind of
it's brothers.
It's tough love.
Right. Certainly.
Not really so much on the compliments part, but we push each other to try to be the best that we can. Right. Certainly. And so I do that to him. I do it to him all the time. It's one of the songs, one of the things we were doing in New Orleans last week. I was like, I don't fucking like this song. Right. I don't like it. What? It's great. Blah, blah, blah. It was like, whatever. I don't have to like everything. Sure.
No doubt. Well, before we wrap this one up, Johnny, I just wanted to get one quick question that's not related to any of this, but you being a stalwart in the world of doom metal, obviously the biggest news of last weekend, as well as probably ever in metal, is the Ozzy retirement, the Black Sabbath retirement.
Yeah.
And, I have to imagine for you, seeing Bill Ward up there one last time, giving it his all, and and really, at least trying his best to do it, has to have some influence or minute for you.
I've seen most of the footage of their performance, and he's still the guy. And it's maybe the chops aren't what they used to be or anything, but the feel is there. The swing is still there. And he's the only guy that does it. Out of all the drummers that played in Sabbath, and Sabbath had some great drummers, had Cozy Powell, Bobby Rontinelli, Tommy Clufetos,
Vinny
Appice, right? Vinny Appice, all great players. There's only one Bill Ward,
right? And you hear the difference. You definitely hear it.
You totally hear the difference, and the band responds differently. Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi play differently when Bill's behind the kid compared to anybody else.
Right. As a Doom guy, are you saddened to see? I mean, you're probably like me. You've never had a moment where Black Sabbath wasn't part of your life.
Right. And I was, I'm friends with Bill, and I was texting with him after the show. We were actually, I was like, did you have fun? How was it? Because I was driving. I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see the live stream, but, and I was genuinely happy for him. And I think it's only right. And it's important for the band's legacy that Bill was there to close it out.
Right.
Because as far as I'm concerned, he's just as important. As Ozzy, as Tony Iommi, and Geezer Butler.
Right. I totally agree.
He's part of the thing that, that wrote the blueprint for all of this.
Yeah. And without those four guys, you're probably doing something different, honestly.
Totally. I'm fixing cars.
Right.
Really, that's what I'm doing. I'm fixing cars.
Right.
And because Black Sabbath was one of those bands. I mean, for me, total game changer.
Right. Certainly.
It's like, I remember getting turned on to it, friends in school, when I was kind of late to Black Sabbath.
Okay.
Because the people that were exposing me to music were my father. And growing up, I lived in a a mother-daughter house.
Okay.
My family lived downstairs. My grandparents lived upstairs. And my uncle lived, he was a teenager. He lived upstairs. And he played guitar.
Okay.
And so I really just had those two people exposing me to different things. And, my father was, of course, Beatles and Stones.
Sure.
That was like the foundation. I'm surprised that my name isn't Keith. Right. Or that my brother, I'm named John. I'm surprised my brother's name isn't Paul, which I think my father may have wanted to do that, and my mother stopped him. And so my dad was now what's classic rock. My dad was into the Stones and the Beatles, and David Bowie and Rod Stewart. And,
sure.
My father turned me on to Aerosmith and Leonard Skinner and everything in between, leading up to getting later on, later in the 70s, like the Cars and my uncle was a guitar player. He was more into Jimi Hendrix, and my uncle introduced me to Frank Zappa and Jeff Beck and things like that. And so between the both of them, Black Sabbath wasn't on the radar. So I didn't get exposed to it until I was in middle school.
Sure.
And I remember going to me and my buddy, we went to his uncle's apartment just to stop by and say hello or whatever. And he played the song Black Sabbath. And I remember just listening to the song and just like the rain and the bell and stuff like that. And then the band came in, and I think I was like 12, 13. I was like, holy shit. And then I remember hanging out with other friends of mine who grew up. We had the Paranoid record, and we'd listen to that all summer. And then from there, hanging out with other kids in school, then I got introduced to more Black Sabbath. And I remember I got introduced to the band when Dio was in the band.
Sure.
And I remember I had, it was the early 80s. Like I had my boom box and I put the antenna up, and in Brooklyn, I could get the radio stations out in Long Island.
Okay.
And Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio was playing the Nassau Coliseum. It was on the Mob Rules tour.
Okay.
And they had like, whatever, the remote, we're at Nassau Coliseum for Black Sabbath.
Sure.
And then they played the song Heaven and Hell, which I had never heard before.
Right.
I was completely blown away. And then they played Supernaut.
Okay.
Supernaut got played on the radio.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit. And then that was like one of the things I recorded it. I was like on my boombox on the cassette and stuff. And I got completely consumed with Black Sabbath before I even hit high school.
Nice.
And I remember the day that I graduated middle school. I went to the record store after the graduation. I went to the record store and I bought Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind.
Right.
And Sabotage.
Okay.
And I think at that point that may have like completed my
right. You were officially there.
Yeah. And I had this job when I was like 14. I used to like work for like this furniture store on Flatbush Avenue, delivering beds and stuff like that.
Sure.
And cheap bastards, they pay me $5 a day.
Jesus.
Yeah. $5 a day. At that point, there was minimum wage at that point.
Sure.
And $5 a day was not minimum wage.
Right.
But I would get tips. So like, for whatever, like, for a 14-year-old kid, 1981, 1982, I'm making like, between like $30 and $50 a day.
Sure.
Not bad money.
No.
It was a great summer job. And then after work, every day I go to the record store.
Right. And spend that
take my
money.
Spend that money. Yeah, that money was gone by that night.
Right.
And I remember the first record I bought, my first pay was Robert Plant's Pictures at 11, his first solo record.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And then the second day, I bought We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll.
Okay.
And then that opened up everything else as far as like, that there was more Black Sabbath than War Pigs, Paranoid, and Iron Man. Right.
Certainly.
And then it was the blueprint. I mean, the impact. Then I started playing drums. I started playing drums. Like right after that, I started playing more, and just to get into my first band. Every band back then played Paranoid.
Right, of course.
And but that was Bill Ward was a huge influence on my playing.
Right.
And then it became more prevalent when I started playing with Type O Negative, and digging even deeper to the things that Bill did in songs and stuff. It wasn't just playing drums. Having conversations with him about it. He was orchestrating. It wasn't just playing beats and stuff. He was doing other things to really bring the songs to different heights. Totally different approach, and it could never be. They could never find that in somebody else.
Right. No, I agree.
They had great drummers, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
it wasn't Bill, and it wasn't what Bill brought to the table, and it wasn't Bill's like his vision for what their music was.
No, you're right. And it was great to see him be there for the send off, which is fantastic. Yeah. Well, equally fantastic, I'll turn this, is the Patriarchs in Black release Home. Fantastic. It is out on August the 15th. Make sure that you pick it up. Don't just stream it, people. If you can buy it somewhere, buy it, please. Help these guys survive so that they can make more music for us. And Johnny, this has been fun, man. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Hickey Presents.